Hey guys, today we are talking about the key events that were leading up to the American Revolutionary War. The Revolutionary War is also known as the American Revolution. This war was fought between the British and the American colonists. The result of the American Revolution was eventually a new nation called the United States of America. It all started with the French and Indian War. The British won that war, but had a major debt because of it. So they decided to tax the American colonies for defending them in the war. The first key event is the Proclamation of 1763, and this was an act in which the king said that nobody could settle west of the Appalachian Mountains, but the colonists disobeyed his orders and did anyway. By 1763, the colonists had enjoyed a great amount of freedom, so they resented the new orders issued by the king and of being taxed without their consent. The first act was the Sugar Act of 1764. The Sugar Act actually lowered taxes from the previous Molasses Act, but it was more strictly enforced than the Molasses Act. And then we have the Stamp Act of 1765, which was taxes were placed on any articles written on paper. This included newspapers, wills, licenses, deeds, pamphlets, marriage certificates, stamps. This was anything that was a written document. The colonists responded to this by creating the Stamp Act Congress, and they refused to buy stamps or the stamp paper. They also burned pictures of the king. And then there was the Quartering Act of 1765, and this said that the colonists had to provide shelter, housing, salaries, supplies for all the British soldiers. The soldiers could just come to your door at any time, and you had to provide them somewhere to stay. You had to provide them your food, your clothes, whatever you had that they needed, you were supposed to provide for them. Well, the colonists did not agree and did not obey. And then you have the Townshend Acts of 1767. This is where they placed taxes on glass, lead, paint, and tea, and it was used to pay the salaries of the colonial officers, including governors and judges. In response, the colonists boycotted all British goods. And this is where the Daughters of Liberty come in. They organize themselves to teach each other how to make their own cloth and clothes and things to keep from having to buy the British goods. Violence eventually erupted as the British troops were sent to Boston in 1768. This leads to the Boston Massacre. The Boston Massacre occurred on March 5th, 1770. It happened as tensions between the colonists and the Redcoats peaked. Townspeople pushed to the customs house, and the British Guard called for help as colonists were crowding. The crowd of colonists began to throw stones, wood, etc. at the soldiers, and several soldiers were knocked down. They fired shots at the crowd, and several colonists were killed. The riot was used as propaganda by the colonists. The British soldiers were put on trial in Boston for this Boston Massacre. They were defended by John Adams. Adams argued that the shootings occurred as a result of self-defense, and they were found to be innocent. So based on these events in this PowerPoint, I want you to construct a timeline of these events. Only use these events for now. I want you to include a brief description of each event. Be creative. Don't copy the information directly from my slides. Do your own research if you need to, if you need some more information. Have fun with this. I'm leaving it all up to you, giving you creative freedom to do this. So make it fun.